Okay, I got a quick tool tip that you can use when you're doing cam bearings in a Harley Davidson. I did this on an 88 2004 Road King. I just changed the cams out and spring tensioners and all that, and then I changed the cam bearings. Now, if you don't want to spend a bunch of money on a tool to remove and install these cam bearings, they've got them out there for like $54. But if you don't do this on a daily basis, you can just go down to Harbor Freight, pick up one of these for like 16 to 20 bucks. But you have to do a little modification to it. Or for one, you'll have to cut this end off here because it'll be too wide. Here's the actual picture of it. But what I did was I had to shorten these up, cut them off, and the tips. I had to cut them tips right there. Just, cut them down or whatever to where you can put a cam bearing on because the tips are too long. So if you can see right here what I did with those tips, put that down here. And when you go in there to get your cam bearing out, most likely the cam bearing will be facing with the numbers out, it'll reach in there, and let me wind this out a little bit, and you just screw this until it forks out. So that way you get your cam bearing here. So when you get your cam bearing, just make sure it's grounded down to where it passes the edge of the bearing, and you'll reach in there and you'll pull it out. You have to shorten these up here, this and this, due to the fact that they're too wide, and you get into the case, you're going to have these rubbing up against the side of the case, and these go in here and they go to the inside the case and rest. But if you have them out here, it's not going to work. So I just trim that down, and trim these off. Now for the installer, what I created an installer out of course, here's a 1/2-inch drive extension, plain old extension. And this is just an old socket I had laying around. This one here is 13/16. And what's this piece here is an old spark plug socket. I don't know if I can get that out of there now. I got jammed in there. And I cut the spark plug socket off. So what you're creating is when you go to install these bearings with the lettering out, slip it onto there. See, I cut it down to where it's down there. But what would have been a good idea is to put maybe a washer back here, so that way when you drive it in, it'll stop it, and so you don't go in too deep. So you have to be very careful. So you put this on here, put your bearing on there, lube it up real good, and just put it in there and tap the back end in here, and just go in there nice and even. And just be careful not to go in too deep, or you end up on the other side of the crankshaft there. So you want this piece here, this end of the bearing, flush up against the case. So this will create a nice guide, like so. And, ground it down and cleaned it up a little bit. And it worked real good for installing cam bearings without having to buy an expensive tool. And some of them, depends on the brand name. I've seen them online for like $54, which, but if you don't do this often enough, it save you a little money. Just if you got a local Harbor Freight store, or if you got a puller or something similar to this that you could find, or have one even in your shop, you can use that. Just remember, just to cut this down, because if it's too long, you're not going to get in there deep enough to get these hooks into it to pull the bearing out. But that's the little trick of the day, so I hope that helps some of you.